Every dip in Bitcoin history was a buy. Every dip buy in Bitcoin history is currently in the profit zone, including this week's dip right here. If you bought this dip, well, you might be entering a profit right now. What's pretty clear looking at the very long-term chart is that the bears are always on limited time. And right now on the weekly, we are really close to flipping back to the green. This dip right here was really just a day. If you go to the daily chart, the daily is almost back in the positive territory. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hours, and we are now back to the daily open. And if we pull up our parabolic trend line, you can see that we are still maintaining the parabolic trend, creating an exponential higher low right in this zone. What you're looking at is the Bitcoin chart on the bottom and the M2 Global Liquidity Index on the top. This is the monthly chart, and Bitcoin bull markets and bear markets line up directly with the Global Liquidity Index. Now, if we take a look at the Bitcoin halving cycle profit indicator, which is something I published on TradingView, free to use, you can see it marks up the best areas to take profit in each Bitcoin cycle. And this is a fixed indicator. 40 to 80 weeks after the halving is a major profit zone. And the 80th week almost always marks the beginning of the bear market. And why is that? Well, if you look at the global liquidity, now we're just looking at global liquidity with the Bitcoin halving cycle profit model. 80 weeks after the halving just so happens to be when global liquidity sees a major retracement. You can see that in past cycles, 40 weeks after the halving marked the beginning of the zone where taking profits seemed like a good idea. The 80th week marked the bear market along with the global liquidity retracement. And then you look at the profit start zone in 2017. Well, we had a lot more upside after that, but the 80th week marked the bear market along with the global liquidity downtrend. 2020 halving, the 40th week was the first top, the 80th week was the second top, and the 80th week once again marked the beginning of the bear market alongside a global liquidity retracement. And so now Bitcoin is coming up on the 40th week. It takes place right after Trump's inauguration is the 40th week, which marks the profit start zone. And normally the bear market doesn't begin until the 80th week, which means after January ends, you have about 40 weeks for this market to really kick off before the bear market begins, as long as global liquidity continues this cycle of pulling back 80 weeks after the halving. So there's quite a bit of time, more time and less time than you think. And let's pull up the Bitcoin weekly chart and then look at the future plots here. You can see this is about October is the 80th week. So from now into October, things should be generally bullish. And we're getting this bounce right before the 40th week post-halving. Bitcoin currently bouncing off of 89,000. Now the weekly is green as we're getting right up to the 40th week, which is that green line. If you look back at 2021, Bitcoin is running up into the 40th week and then pulls back and then into the 80th week before the bear market. And while Bitcoin's going sideways at that first top, the altcoins are going to the moon. The 40th week, Bitcoin started to go sideways. This is the total 3, the Altcoin Marketcap. Bitcoin began going sideways here at the 40th week, right there. This is Bitcoin, 40th week, sideways. Total 3, Altcoin Marketcap, begins to run for real after the 40th week. It actually breaks its all-time high right into the 40th week and sees a major surge. Altcoins historically are not really all that bullish until the 40th week when they get really bullish. And here we are coming up on this point right now. Now, it does not mean that we're going to get a straight line up the whole time, right? In the last cycle, big moves up and pretty much gave up all the gains back to the breakout zone before running again to the actual high, right? So a lot of volatility in these cycles, but we're coming up on historically the most bullish zone for altcoins. If you look at Ethereum, you can see it tops out at the 80th week. You know, Monero, it goes up right into the 80th week in 2017. It goes up right past the 40th week, lower high on the 80th week. Even things like Chainlink running up into the 40th week with a lower high on the 80th week. In the last cycle, BNB, Binance coin, hits its second top, almost the all-time high on the 80th week before the bear market. Looking at things like Cardano, it runs up in the last cycle right into the 40th week and then pumps even further, and the bear market begins right at the 80th week. Dogecoin also pumps right past the 40th week. The bear market really begins after the 80th week. You start to get lower lows right after the 80th week. And here we are coming up on the 40th week. This model works for altcoins as well, and their most bullish moments take place inside of this green bar. The Bitcoin dominance chart, you can see that Bitcoin dominance is also plummeting after the 40th week in 2017. Huge retracement in dominance. Go to the next cycle here in 2020, 2021. Right after that 40th week, huge pullback in dominance. Altcoins take over and go to where we are now. You can see I have some things drawn up on the screen. I mean, we're about to be on the 40th week. It's right here. We have a breakdown of the trend line, a lower low and lower highs. It looks like Bitcoin dominance, well, in one way, it looks like Bitcoin dominance wants to pump up again. But in another way, lower highs, lower lows, I mean, it looks like Bitcoin dominance may begin to trend down from here with big retracements back up to the resistance along the way. And also, last but not least, the Bitcoin parabolic trend. The Bitcoin parabolic trend is in strong health. It's very healthy. Look at it. The weekly's going back to the green. It looks like a nice hammer candle's being printed right here, just like this one down here, right? Just like this one down here, a hammer candle before a major uptrend continuation. So the bears are always on borrowed time, limited time. The bulls always win in the end. You could have just bought every dip in Bitcoin history, and that's all you really had to do. Bitcoin is elevated heavily off the parabolic trend line, which means that in theory, Bitcoin could dip, even further if it wanted to, and it would still be an exponential higher low within a parabolic trend. I'm not saying it's going to. My bias is bullish, and there's not really anything wrong with the trend at all. And in theory, Bitcoin is right now creating base 4 of the parabolic trend. This is the same analysis that we've provided on this channel for more than a year. I mean, it was really beginning in 2023 that we started talking about this, and it's played out to almost the fullest extent that it possibly could. This parabola is beautiful. And you see base 1, base 2, base 3. Now that's base 4. It's possible that, yeah, we could dip a little lower. Doesn't really matter. As long as we're getting an exponential higher low, well, that would be the creation of base 4. It could be this low. Could be. I don't see why not. This is the creation of base 4, which means that our sell point is coming up on the next target. From base 3, the price doubles, which is roughly 124,000, meaning that this parabolic trend would look to run up to about 124,000, maybe slightly higher, before breaking the parabolic trend and settling up through the summer before a end of year run at the 80th week in October, and then the bear market begins. So 124,000 is the first cycle target with a huge correction afterward, and then build back up into the end of the year for the 80th week run. That's usually how these cycles go, right? So if you're looking at this again with the Bitcoin having cycle profit, parabolic trend, get the extension up to the sell point, 124,000, with a breakdown and a quick and rapid rebound into the end of the year around October before the bear market would then begin after the 80th week. And that second target is, for me, is sitting around 142,500. First target, 124,000. Second target, 142,500. We've had these targets on this channel for more than a year at this point, and nothing has changed. The parabolic trend analysis is still the same. Price target still the same, and there's no reason to change it. Not yet. The market does go sideways usually longer than you expect, and because of that sideways action, that's why my price targets seem to be realistic in my mind. Because even along the way, yeah, you can get to 124, and if we hit that price, people are going to say, see, Kev, you're not bullish enough. We're going way higher, and then the price ends up going sideways, punching up to your target, and then global liquidity retraces, and there's your cycle, right? I think that those price targets are actually very realistic, and a lot of people are going to say that I'm not bullish enough, but we will see who's right in the end. Only time will tell, but this parabola looks healthy. It looks strong. It looks like we want to see continuation. And if we just take a look at the Bitcoin chart as a line chart, this chart looks fantastic. It's kind of funny, people, freaking out over every dip. This chart looks extremely bullish. One great exercise is to look at the Bitcoin chart as if it wasn't Bitcoin, as if it's just a random stock chart. How does this chart look to you? Looks great. Looks parabolic, right? I think it's important to do that. Take a step back and just look at the chart as if it wasn't Bitcoin. Looks pretty good. It looks like an uptrend, and the trend is your friend until the end of the trend. And right now the trend is certainly bullish on the larger timescales. It's actually getting pretty steep here. If that is the low, that means we have some rapid moves up to our sell point coming. You know, quote unquote, sell point is a textbook term. I'm not saying it's necessarily going to be the cycle peak. It will just be a major target that's reached before a major retracement and a summer lull, and then a pump into the 80th week. That's what I'm looking for in this cycle. So we talked about Bitcoin, we talked about the altcoins, Bitcoin dominance, all kinds of stuff, global liquidity. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and be sure to sign up for Kraken Pro using that link below, and join the Patreon using that link below. In the Patreon, we do morning voice chats every weekday morning at 10:30 a.m. discussing all kinds of stuff about the markets. So once again, hit the like, subscribe, comment below, use those links below, and I'll see you all in the next video.